My name is Sinerias and I'm the best Master Yi in the entire world. I reached rank 1 on the EU West server with playing only Master Yi. I'm Challenger since 9 years and here I will guide you through everything you need to know so you can conquer your games. This is a full-on guide, so make sure that with this, with reviewing, with information and knowledge you gather through my streams and my videos, that you will climb and enjoy your games.
My blade is yours.
Starting off with the summoners, the only way to go is to take Flash. That is very important for the one-shot Master Yi combo that I will get to later on. Having Ignite, Exhaust, Ghost for the jungle role is always nice to have, but keep in mind, same with 4 item builds, there's a lot of things also in life that you wish to get from a financial perspective, but other things are just straight up smarter to take. Therefore, Ghost is really nice to have, same with Ignite, but Flash in comparison is straight up better because it has in total more value. You can disengage, you can engage, it gives you tools for survivability if you go for invades, and of course it just makes you a bigger threat of having the option to have a gap closer. Jumping into the runes, this is the rune page that I have been taking for years. Absolutely viable on this day. Lethal tempo, always the highest value rune for Master Yi. Straight up. Triumph, you restore HP whenever you kill someone and you get additional gold. In comparison to all the other runes, this is straight up the best. Because with Master Yi, you're gonna play a lot for resets and getting those skills anyways, where you get HP back and also additional gold. Alacrity, Master Yi is only about auto-attacking. Of course, having extra attack speed will make this champion strong. Keep in mind also for the build, when you have a lot of attack speed, you always want to have some sort of AD. I can show you here. Imagine you have 2 graphs. You have AD and you have attack speed. You always want to make sure that your attack speed ratio is almost the same as the AD ratio. Because if you only buy attack speed and you have no damage, you will be useless. Same with if you only buy attack damage, you will be fine, but it is in total more value if you have some attack damage and some attack speed. Then you have the maximum value because of the combination. Alacrity, always decent because it always gives you extra attack speed. Then for the last rune here, we have Coup de Grace, we have Cut Down, Last Stand, all completely fine. With Master Yi, you want to get the resets. Even if Last Stand would out damage Coup de Grace, which is not always the case, even then Coup de Grace is better because for Master Yi, you don't need maximum damage output in a team fight. You need to get kills to get the resets, which is the most important tool for you to play your champion correctly. The secondary tree is very interesting. First of all, let's start with Resolve. Resolve is always fine to take, but Inspiration is more gold efficient. Magical Footwear is the most efficient rune you can possibly take for Master Yi. And Cosmic Insight is for any jungler always extremely nice to have. That is why so many junglers take the Conqueror rune and then Inspiration as secondary because of gold efficiency and gold value for what you take. Another option, which I'm going to be taking a lot, since I believe it is very strong, and this is now the rune page that I am taking currently, is Ultimate Hunter with 6 cents. Now, Ultimate Hunter will reduce your ult at around 20 seconds when it's fully stacked, which makes such a big difference because in teamfights, without ult, you are very useless. You need your ult to basically not get kited, to have the opportunity to all in and chase them, and also to disengage. If a Nasus presses W on you and you don't have ult, you're dead. If you have ult, it doesn't even touch you, because you cannot get slowed, of course. Therefore, right now, Ultimate Hunter, 6 cents, Domination Tree as secondary, Precision Tree with Lethal Tempo is the majority rune page. If you still prefer having boots, absolutely fine. Everything else is at a different level, not as good. If you come up at me with Hail of Blades, there's also different build options. We will get to that in a second. This would be the rune page, either with Relentless or again Ultimate Hunter. With Hail of Blades, absolutely fine. You play more of a one-shot style. Let's say you go Kraken Slayer with Rageblade. You're going to stack up Rageblade very quickly with Hail of Blades. And you have with Titanic Hydra reset, W reset, and Hail of Blades. So it's gonna pop free attacks with W and Titanic Hydra. It's in total 5 attacks because auto attack resets don't count with Hail of Blades. So Hail of Blades has a very high value for Master Yi. It's also really good. But lethal tempo is regardless better in almost every single game because you want to be a threat for longer extended fights. If a Bel'Veth comes at you and you have already 3, 4, 5 lethal tempo stacks, even if all the others come, the other enemies, you'll be able to kill them all because your attack speed gets so insanely high with the attack damage you already bought. You're straight up going to be stronger in stat checking against most enemies. Keep in mind, Master Yi is a 1v1 champion character that wants a fast engaged fight. Because of his ult, his nature, enemies cannot disengage. When he's engaging on a full tank Malphite with 5000 HP, with ult, there is no disengage at all for the Malphite. If Master Yi Qs his ult, if Malphite doesn't have ult, you know, there is no disengage. With Hail of Blades, you have 1 burst damage output, and after that, you'll be fine, but not as strong nor as a big threat. Let's talk about Master Yi, his item. Blade of the Ruined King, Kraken Slayer, and Rageblade. Forget about the order, but those 3 items is the heart of Master Yi. If those items wouldn't exist in League of Legends, the champion is straight up garbage. Because of that, you can already imagine that those items are not options. This is core / this is a necessity. If you go Crit Master Yi, if you go Flicker Blades, if you go a tanky version, all of this is fine. But at the current stage, on it is the best. And that is also what I'm going to focus at. And that is also why I will not play Crit Master Yi in the upcoming time. Keep in mind, Kraken Slayer got changed for Master Yi's Q. Means that on his Q, it will proc Kraken during the Q. Because now your Kraken, like every third attack deals bonus physical damage. That never worked with your Q. But Riot Games changed that. And now it does work with your Q, leads to Kraken Slayer being even more valuable. Now, of course, technically speaking, your Q only does a percentage of the damage of your Q. So if you're like Kraken procs, it's not as much additional damage as you would usually do with Kraken. But that doesn't matter. It is still very good. That's what you can take away with that. You don't need to go too in detail. For the exact numbers, you can just trust me with the experience, with the maths we did all the time, and especially with the feeling that this is by far the highest damage output. You don't need to test it. Those 3 items is the highest damage form that Master Yi can get. Now we get to what is important. Right now, I mainly buy Kraken Slayer and Rageblade. Kraken Slayer Rageblade duo, their combo is equals to highest damage output possible for Master Yi. Blade of the Ruined King plus Rageblade is not as much damage and not as much surprise damage. You can make your calculations. You can explain anything you want. You can debate. You can have your opinion. But here you are on this video and I gladly share my knowledge and skills so you can climb. And again, you can believe me with the 9 years of being the best Master Yi in the world that this is the highest damage output right now. The problem is you cannot buy the highest damage output all the time because in some games you need survivability. So what does that mean? Blade of the Ruined King is 0 HP, but it's lifesteal. That means if the enemies have a lot of poke, slow extended fights, let's say Kha'Zix W poke, Syndra QE poke, a Kiana that, or a Wukong that half HPs you, a Kiana that tries to burst you, anything that has like a little bit of poke and is annoying, like Needleless Spear. 1 spear, are you gonna reset now? No, but with Blade of Ruin King, you're gonna have so much sustain. If you get one jungle camp at the mid-late game, you're gonna be instantly full HP again. Maybe one more W, instantly full HP, you're fine. You're completely fine. Without Blade of Ruin King, you don't have the sustain. Max damage, that's what you note down, equals to Kraken plus Rage Blade. So that means if you don't need to have sustain, you always want to have Kraken plus Rage Blade. But the problem is that oftentimes, depending on enemy team comp, you need sustain. And with your team, if you have a lot of heal, you don't need sustain. If I'm playing with Yuumi or Soraka, I prefer not going Blade of Ruin King. If I play against the enemy team comp, I say this again because I know this question is gonna come at which exact team comps. What you can do is you watch on my OPGGs, up to date, everything on what I buy at which comps. And you can copy paste. But it's going to be right now probably like 80%, 70% Kraken Slayer first, and then 30% Blade of Ruin King first. If you buy Blade of Ruin King first, it's always, no matter which item you buy first, gonna be Rage Blade second. And if you don't buy Blade of Ruin King Rage Blade or Kraken Slayer Rage Blade, then you are not maxing out your champion. I will say this again, you are straight up inting. Okay, now, if you wanna have fun by not doing what is correct, completely fine. I just don't enjoy not being as strong as I could be. Okay, now we talked about this. Now you know about the core of Master Yi. This is his heart. Perfect. Now let's continue. We imagine now the best build, right? We have Kraken Slayer and we don't have Blade of the Ruined King. Okay, this is now the core. Now you're resetting. Forget about enemy team comp, forget about your team. Now you have enough gold to buy the next item. So what item do you buy now? There's a lot of options. Do you go now Blade of Ruined King? Do you go now something else? So you can go Blade of Ruined King now. Problem with that is that usually you are too squishy, but it is completely fine. And now it gets very interesting. Kraken plus Rage Blade or Blade of Ruined King plus Rage Blade. Now you want to buy first two items, okay? So we have core equals to, and then we have first item equals to Kraken or Blade of Ruined King. Second item equals to Rage Blade. This is core. Now third item equals to either Kraken plus. Now we get like, now this is core, this is core. Okay, this is core. And now optional. Now we get to optional. Now optional third item. That is either Kraken or Blade of the Ruined King. Completely optional. Then we have Titanic Hydra. We are going to buy as third item most likely survivability. Third item depends. Everything depends. Now, the more we go in that third item, fourth item, fifth item, it depends always on the game. But these are the options, okay? If you need survivability, you probably need HP. Because you buy Blade of Ruined King or Kraken, and now you have, let's say, Kraken, Rage Blade, and Blade of Ruined King, or Blade of Ruined King, Rage Blade, and then Kraken, you probably are too squishy. And Malphite, Wukong, Kiana, Syndra will all one-shot you. Now you can go the items still and try to one-shot them before they one-shot you, which I'm gonna do sometimes, but most of the time you just need HP. Let's say you play against Lee Sin. You can buy 3 AD items. That will be 1, 2, 3 AD item, right? Full aggressive. Lee Sin will just war jump, ult QQ, and you're dead. It's pointless. So you're gonna buy HP. For HP, you have Titanic Hydra, you have Hullbreaker, you have Experimental Hexblade, you have Hullbreaker, Titanic Hydra, Wits End, Terminus. Okay. You have GA, you have Sterox, you have Death Stance, and in very rare cases, Spirit Visage. That's it! I will never buy another item than this. Okay, now, Experimental Hexblade is right now extremely good. They buffed it, it's nice, it works really well with Master Yi's ult. You have your ult more often. Maybe Hexblade with Ultimate Hunter can lead to you having ult per all the time. Ult is again core for Master Yi. You need ult and you're extremely strong. Perfect. So you want to go Experimental Hexblade as third most of the time because it has HP plus ult cooldown plus damage. And you already have your core, Rage Blade and Kraken, or Rage Blade and Blade of Ruined King. That is your damage. With these two items, you can always kill anyone. Always. The only issue is that sometimes it takes you a little bit longer. With 3 items, if you have Rage Blade, Kraken Slayer, and Blade of Ruined King, you're gonna one-shot anything. One shot. Gesandte, one shot with those 3 items, right? But again, you need HP as third. It's gonna be Hexblade. In some games, Titanic is better though. Okay, in which games? When you can 100% do an auto attack reset. If you play against the LeBlanc, tell me, where are you gonna do the auto attack reset? When she W ult, W ult, E here, passive proc, like where? Kiana perma stealth, Vayne perma stealth, Kha'Zix perma stealth. You're not gonna use your auto attack reset. With Hydra, it's very important to play with the auto attack reset. Same with your W, right? If you play against Sion, that's giga free to do an auto attack reset. Bard, Chin, like how can they escape you? Right? They cannot. That means against champions where you can consistently get your auto attack reset off, Titanic is already really, really good. And then, of course, also more gold value than Experimental Hexblade, because in the specific game where you can do your resets, it's valuable. Okay, now when is Hullbreaker better? Almost never. Experimental Hexblade and Titanic Hydra are from a tier list higher tier than Hullbreaker. So you barely go Hullbreaker. So when do you go Hullbreaker? Against... when you legit permanently are forced to split push because you cannot team fight, you cannot find catches, you have to split push, and there are still the towers up and you know you can get tower pressure, or you generally speaking need to push fast, then you go Hullbreaker. It's the same as Titanic Hydra or Hexblade, but you just don't have the effects from Titanic Hydra or Hexblade. But again, if you don't need perma ult, if you don't need auto attack resets, then of course you can imagine Hullbreaker to be very valuable, right? It's not rocket science after all. It's very simple. What do the items do? It pushes towers. It's good when you push towers. Okay, when is Wits End good? I'll let you think, okay? When is Wits End good? When enemies have AP damage. Boom. Okay, when is Spirit Visage good? When enemies have AP damage and we have a lot of healing. Like we have Soraka and the fights are very long and I can save my W. It's not complicated, right? And that, by the way, goes for every single champion in League of Legends. Usually champions, let's say Jarvan, Thundra Sky, Black Cleaver, oftentimes is core of Jarvan. That's his heart. Everything else, Frozen Heart, Spirit Visage, that is all afterwards, situational. Dr. Mundo, on top lane, Hexblade Varmox, everything else situational. Depends on the game. Depends. It always depends, right? But this is the answer to your questions. And I gladly help you out. I love that I can help you. This is beautiful. Okay, now Sinerias. When is Terminus good? Almost never. Blade from King is highest damage output. In like Kraken Slayer plus Rageblade, highest damage output. After that, Blade from King, highest damage output. It's better than Terminus. But in very rare cases, you're able to stack Terminus. I mean, I show you the item again for those who don't know. You get magic resistant armor and armor and penetration, magic penetration. If you can stack it, when enemies are all full tanks, even then Blade of King is nice, right? But then it can be better than Blade of King. If the enemies have a Sion full tank that is always going to fight, like the Baus FFS running it and perma fighting, you can imagine that Terminus is good because you can always have it fully stacked. But in I think 70 to 80%, I would probably go Blade from King if I really need an item like that. And then Terminus is like after Blade from King, the next value, right? It's always good to have. Deals magic damage. Beautiful. Blade from King is just better. This is like situational. If you know you need the armor penetration. Magic damage on hit. Enemies are buying only armor. Full. And Terminus is... it's very simple. Like if you have here a tier list, right? Here's a tier. And here's like the high value. And Titanic is here. And Experimental Hexblade is here. In some games, Experimental Hexblade is here. And Titanic is here. And Hullbreaker is maybe... here, right? And then Hullbreaker is a little bit better than Titanic, but worse than Hexblade. Same with Terminus and Borg. Borg is Z tier. Borg is up here with Kraken Slayer and Rageblade. And Terminus is around here. But in some games, Blade from King is not that good and Terminus is insane. So then Terminus is higher in terms of average skill value. Not complicated again. Okay, when do you buy GA? That's now a little bit more complicated. When you absolutely 100% going to get one shot and the HP won't matter and you have an hyper carry on ADC that has 10 kills. Because if they one shot you, your ADC is gonna go crazy. They don't one shot you, you're gonna be an absolute problem as well because you play full aggressive if they focus the ADC, right? But even then I would consider going more damage and just risk my life and then my ADC goes 1v9 because we have 2 carries. Yeah, but GA you buy when also they cannot kill you twice. If enemies have Caitlyn and they kill you, they're gonna put a trap on your corpse and you die again. If enemies have a Vayne that is ult engaging, using everything, and then you die and then her ult runs out, when you are going back to be alive, Vayne cannot kill you twice. That's very good against Vayne. And it's very bad against Caitlyn. Same against Kiana. GA is very nice against Kiana because she has one full damage. And then you revive again, and usually she still has some cooldown or like has one more Q, but that's it. What else do we take here? Which champion? Against Cho'Gath. Terrible, right? Because Cho'Gath can legit prepare his Q when you respawn on your GA. Okay, when is Sterak's good? When you really need the tenacity? When Hexblade is not enough. When Hydra and Hullbreaker is like enough, like decent HP, but it's not enough. You still absolutely die. And you're like, I'm not that strong. I'm not gonna be an absolute monster in fighting. I need to survive. And it's like slightly not enough to be like here, look. Here's the point where you survive. This is number variable C. And at Z you survive. And you are here right now. You're like here. Because you only have Kraken and Rageblade. You get one shot. And then you buy Hexblade, you're here, right? But you still die. And if you buy Sterak's, you're like here. You slightly survive. Okay, then Sterak's is better. Because Sterak's is like in total more tanky than Hexblade. Question for you. When is Death Stance good? When enemies have a lot of AD. And when they have an insane burst and you know you kill them afterwards. Rengar. Rengar jumps on you. He doesn't kill you instantly because of Death Stance passive. He dies, you get HP back because you kill Rengar kills you in 0.5 seconds. You kill Rengar in 1.2 seconds. And Death Stance is 3 seconds. You can read it out here. When a champion that damages you within 3 seconds dies, cleanse, ignores pains, remaining damage, and restore health. 30% of the damage taken is dealt to you over 3 seconds instead. The entire burst of Rengar is gone, plus the armor you have. So imagine you play against Rengar and Talon, and they're like full AD kinda. They have the Caitlyn on ADC. I know, okay, I don't want to go GA because they have Caitlyn. I don't need sustain because they have Rengar and Talon. So my build is probably gonna be Kraken Slayer into Rageblade. Then I probably go, I mean, even Titanic Hydra is interesting because against all those champions I can do resets. Not against Talon. So probably gonna Hexblade as third item, and then I'm for sure, because then I have enough HP, right? I perma have ult against their comps, also very interesting. So I have the same ult as Talon, and then I'm gonna go for Death Stance, and they can never kill me. I have HP, I have a lot of armor, and I have Death Stance passive, and I have my damage output core. Boom! Congratulations! You now have the best possible itemization in the entire world. And I coach Master, Yi mains, and Challenger. Grandmaster, Master, all the way up to Bronze. Even Iron. I coach in every single elo. And trust me, if you just had the thoughts which I had, you already outcompeted. People struggle a lot in itemization, even though if you think about it, now with my explanation, it's not that insanely hard, right? Of course, it's like a lot of thoughts and you need to have an understanding, but I believe in you being able to do it. Now, with all this info I just gave, rewatch all my games I play. And then ask yourself, okay, why does he go Titanic here? Why does he go Borg here? Why does he go, okay, interesting. Then you already can come to conclusions. And you're gonna see that next, very important tip. All notes down, note down right now. This is point 1. Very important tip. Don't overcomplicate itemization. It is. You need to have some understanding, but it's not the world. What is the world is your performance, your macro, your mechanics. That's the world. As second tier list comes mentality, psychology, communication. Even though communication is part of the macro and fundamentals. And as third comes itemizations, guides, runes, movement, setup. So it is something, but don't overcomplicate things. Don't be like, in this game, this isn't... You see, Randuin's also optional. Okay, when is Randuin's good? When enemies are full crit. Right? I don't overcomplicate things. you can imagine that Randuin's is better than Starrock's if enemies are full crit. Right? I believe in you guys. You guys are the goats. You guys are smart. You guys are blessed from God. Kiss your heart. All right, beautiful. With that being said, what is third item? Fourth item. Fourth item, the exact same. Now we do fifth item, the same. Okay. And sixth item, exactly the same. So it depends on game. You can do some like some tips. As I explained it with like here, you need to have like 80, right? You need to have attack speed. And then there's more. There's some HP, some armor, right? You want to have everywhere a little bit, right? You at best want to have it very mixed out. And then you have the max value. Because if you have 30 armor, like let's say you have 30 armor, and you compare 30 with 60 and 90, and then with 120 and 150, you always go up 50, you always go up 30, right? The curve of, if this is the effectiveness, goes down in a curved way like this. Because at one point, if you have like 1050 armor or 1080 armor, doesn't make a difference at all, right? But if you have 10 armor or if you have 70 armor, makes a huge difference. Same goes with attack speed. Same, not the exact same goes with 80, but you can already imagine what I'm saying, right? If you have 180 and or compare it with like 980, and okay, if you have 180, you deal almost no damage, 0, right? If you have 900 damage, 80, that's insane. Actually, that's not a good example. From going up from 900, like here going up from 100 to 200, and here from 900 to 1000, this makes a way better change than this. Because of the attack speed you have, it's gonna be, of course, in percentage, more. This is not necessarily entirely true what I just said. This is like a little bit more in-depth and complicated. It also doesn't matter. What matters for me is that you got my point. So you want to have a mix. But in most games, you cannot have a mix. In most games, you don't need a mix. That means if enemies have all full tanks, Malphite, Cyan, Dr. Mundo, Cho'Gath, you don't need Experimental Hexblade and Hullbreaker. You can then go Kraken Slayer, Borg, Rageblade, and then you can go maybe one tank item, Hexblade, and then you go again Terminus, right? Then you can go more damage because you want to kill them quicker and they don't kill you. But if the enemies are all 5 one-shot carries, you're probably gonna need Death Stance, GA, Starrock's, or Hexblade earlier. And let's get to the boots. This is it from us. This is the build. This is the build. This is the build. Also, if you have questions about the build, don't ask. You can ask me on the stream, but you can imagine I get the question all the time. That's also why I make like all these guides all the time, so I can also show you everything, like all my thought. Because if I start talking about it, I get the same question again. So try to also talk with the chat about it. Like ask the viewers, because there's so many extremely good players on my viewer list that are glad to help out. Utilize that as well. For the boots, we go Mercs. We go Steel Caps. We go Berserkers. And then I'm not gonna buy Swifties. Okay. So Mercs is, I'm gonna change those two. First of all, percentage. Mercs, 65% of all game. Berserkers, 20% of all game. Steel Caps, 10% of all game. 12.5. Swifties, 2.5. Mercs, against a little bit CC, already really good. You want to have some tenacity. Plus, magic resist. Mercs is always extremely good. In general, extreme high value. If you don't need Mercs or Steel Caps, you don't need it, okay? If your enemies are full AD, you need Steel Caps. If enemies have a lot of auto attacks, you need Steel Caps. If enemies have some CC, you need Mercs. If enemies are AP heavy, you need Mercs, okay? If your enemies don't deal that much, they don't have CC, they have only knock up, they have only burst, they're only tanky, then you go Berserkers. That's some decent games. Plus, when you play very sneaky. Berserkers equals to faster clear. You kill enemies faster. You kill objectives faster. You always want to go Berserkers. But in most games, you're forced for Mercs or Steel Caps. And Swifties, almost never, when you only need movement speed. But your ult already reduces all the slows, so never really needed, right? But if you just go max out movement speed, and you go perma split push and stuff, but even then Berserkers are potentially better, right? Okay, this is it for the items. Let's go. Let's talk about abilities, combos, and very important points you gotta be aware of when playing Master Yi. Master Yi's Q is always untargetability. So if any ability shoots at you, Syndra E, Malphite ult, Malphite Q, any ability, basically you can dodge. Why? Because you are basically gone on the map. Look on the minimap. You see your icon. The moment you press Q, you're gone. You're not existing anymore, basically, in the code, right? For how long? Let's see if you know it. Exactly 0.75 seconds. Now you know. Okay. That is the most important ability from Master Yi. Without Q, your champion doesn't exist. So your entire core gameplay surrounds off your Q. It has very long cooldown, and every time you do an auto attack, the cooldown refreshes by 1 second. Every time. Your double strike, your passive, that means every 4th attack, you deal a double auto attack. As you can see, I can stack it up by auto attacks. It's 2 stacks, 3 stacks, and now my Q cooldown will go off by 2 because it's 2 attacks. With Rage Blade and passive, you get your Q very quickly. With W resets, perfect. Your W, you channel and you gain HP whilst you channel it. There's more to it. Your W is mainly used as an auto attack reset. That's where I use it all the time. When you auto W auto, you immediately have a secondary auto attack. Keep in mind that the W, while channeling and for 0.5 seconds afterwards, he takes 70% reduced damage. That means I always W burst. Yana jumps on me, I immediately W to block the burst. At best, you do auto attack. Let's say Yana jumps from you from here. You do auto attack W auto attack whilst she jumps. So you do use W for the reset and whilst blocking the damage from the enemy engaging onto you. His E is extremely basic. When activate, you have for this amount of time extra true damage. You always see it below here, how long you will have it. I always look at it myself. It's very important. I mean, I have it in my feeling, of course, but looking at it is always valuable. Now his ultimate ability, the most important, is when you kill someone, you get 70% reduced cooldowns of all your basic ability, which is mainly important for your Q. Means when you get a kill, and with then the auto attacks, W resets, and double strikes, you're gonna get another Q very quickly. If you get untargetable twice, let's say you get untargetable, and Syndra uses her combo on you, you get untargetable, and then Syndra's like already lost, like what the fuck am I supposed to do? And then maybe gets her abilities back up and you already Q again. It's very hard to kill Master Yi. That's what makes him strong. That's what makes him so beautiful. Now it gets very interesting because how do you use the abilities? Of course, you want to max out damage output. That means if you just attack, let's say you just attack, you see your lethal tempo goes up. If your lethal tempo goes up, right, you have more attack speed. If you have more attack speed, using E is more valuable because in the amount of time, you will in total do more auto attack. So you want to use your E when you have the maximum amount of auto attacks output. Or by Kraken and Rage Blade, so you will see, because I talked about it earlier, it is the max damage output you can get. So always make sure to have those items. Now, I usually start using my E, that's important for you, when I have a few lethal tempo stacks or in combination with my ult. Because if I just auto attack like this with E, right, my E will run out eventually. And then if I ult and W reset and Q, then my E is not fully used. So I use my E in combination with the other abilities. I'm gonna use E usually with ult. When I have lethal tempo stacked, it will look like this. As you can see, that's a lot of auto attacks you deal. And all of it with the true damage from E. And that is a lot adding up. With Rage Blade, with passive, every single attack counts double. No, not every single attack, but every third attack with Rage Blade counts double, and every fourth attack with double strike. And if the Rage Blade attacks count double, your passive also stacks double. Look at my passive for off the procs, okay? Look at my passive. Passive proc, passive proc, passive proc, passive proc, passive proc. And all of this works with Kraken Slayer then. Pop, 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 pop. All of this works with my Q reset. 1 second, 1 second, 1 second, 1 second. All of this works with, like, double strike works with Rage Blade. Rage Blade even adds up double strike. Like, it is massive. So you know why Rage Blade is core for Master Yi. It is insanely important. Okay, with that being said, now, when do you use Q? In Q, you want to activate your E. Because then your Q bounce damage, your Q in total bounces exactly 4 times. 4 times is your Q bounce, okay? Your Q bounce equals to 4 times. Always 4 times. That means if there are enemies, let's say 2. How often do you bounce on each? 2. 1, 2, 3. And you also know the Kraken is gonna proc here. Now you have 1 Kraken stack. Where's the Kraken gonna proc? Here. It's very easy, right? To judge. Now go back to normal speed. If you have 3, who is gonna take Kraken proc? And where it's gonna bounce? It's gonna bounce like this. So this guy's gonna get Kraken proc. Why? Because your Q always bounces to the next enemy target. That means if here's a minion, it will bounce like this. If I bounce like that, and when I go on this guy somehow teleports here, then I'm gonna bounce twice on him. Why? Because my Q also has a radius. That means I Q this guy, and this guy bounces on the next target. But if there's no target, let's say here, and this target is pretty far from those, my Q will not bounce on them, but bounce 4 times on this guy. If the target stands around here, it will already start bouncing on this guy. I will show you. I Q. Oh, okay, you see? That's fucking hilarious, no? That's max range Q bounce. So if we put this guy a little bit to the right, you see now it doesn't bounce anymore. That was legit absolute max range Q bounce. It's hilarious and I love it. So when do you use W? On auto attack reset at best. Also when you engage, let's say this is an enemy, right? You use W reset and Q with your E, and you stack your lethal tempo here, let's say on full tank the Juani, and your passive is also stacked. I usually engage when my passive is ready, so the next auto attack is already the double strike. You see there was 700 damage. And now imagine this is an ADC, right? And I stack my stuff, and then I flash on him. That's instant damage output. I intentionally didn't show any combos or stuff yet, okay? So again, we stack our lethal tempo here at best, and then we engage with full damage on the ADC. And then we have a surprise damage output because people are not calculating with Kraken Slayer, Rage Blade, W reset, Q, E extra. It's so much extra damage, you know? That's what I love about this champion so much. Okay, one more thing. If you stay on W, you will stack your passive. 1 stack, 2 stack, 3 stack. So your W fully stacks your double strike as well. Also important for you to know. Can pierce through stone. Beautiful. We love it. Okay, now this is it. Now we get to the combos. For Master Yi, combos, you want to use W. I removed the cooldown, okay? You want to use W after your reset. After your Q. You want to use your double strike after your Q, because look at my Q cooldown. It went from 18 to 12 in one auto attack because of Rage Blade, W reset, and passive fully stacked. So you want to use your Q, your W reset after your Q, also because it's hard to react. Let's say this is an hacker, I'm trying to run away, right? And you do Q, auto W auto, it's instant damage output. If you do auto W Q, I will show you. So auto W, if you do auto W and then Q, then your Q cooldown, look, auto W and then Q, your cooldown is very high. So it takes you longer to get it off. So I always try, if I can, and in 95% of all cases I can, or 99 actually, I do my W reset after my Q. It's also more surprise damage. Surprise damage means that you are half HP, enemies are half HP, they're like, I think I can kill him. You cannot, because I still have all my abilities and I one-shot you, right? But they don't know, and they're like, okay, so I can continue fighting, and then they will run into your trap and you one-shot them. Beautiful. I love making this guide. Actually, I have so much joy showing this. It's crazy. Okay, so when do you use E? of course, when you have max damage output. That means when your lethal tempo is stacked, when you have ult, that's like all more E. One more thing to E, for your clears especially. You use your E, let's say you attack here, you don't insta-QE. You first out attack, out attack, out attack. Now you have double strike ready, and that is when you use your E. You always try to use your E on your double strike. Why is that? I will show you real quick. And now I want you to watch my double strikes. This is a thing I use always at the clear, which a lot of people don't get, okay? I use my E with my double strike. Okay? Now. And now notice that I would have E up for another double strike. It's perfectly in time. Slightly. If I E earlier than that, so if I E, let's say, instantly, I will only be able to do one double strike. The second double strike, the E already ran out. And 2 double strikes is in total, of course, more out attack. So it's additionally 22 true damage for free. So you always use your E on your double strike. That is a core for Master Yi. Okay, and now these are like the most important tools. We get to combos. Combos, again, very simple. I'm gonna put some dummies here again. Give myself a little bit gold. Okay, I only go Crack and Rage Pit because, again, this is the core. Everything else just comes additional. I'm gonna get Blade from King too, so you see the insane damage output, okay? And a little bit of boost. And no. Okay, so look, this is the greed they talk in the Bible, by the way. Now, beautiful. If you engage with your Q, you don't have Q anymore. So first, the casual engage is you just go in, right? And then you use Q, W with the E and ult, W reset. That's like normal Master Yi gameplay. But what you do from now on and forever, stack your lethal tempo and your passive and your rage blade. It's a lot. Rage blade fully stacked, passive fully stacked, and lethal tempo stacked. Then you use your abilities to engage. It will look like this. And enemies will not, not really get how much damage you deal. It's 10k. Just like that. You know, it's insane damage output. And if this is a full tech Mundo, you will deal more because Blade of King, it is. This guy has no armor, of course, but okay, trust me, the damage is an absolute joke. Okay, I think this is the heart of Master Yi, is his damage. He's legit a demon slayer. Rengoku at its finest. That's why we play Inkshot on Master Yi, by the way. Okay, beautiful. You cannot always engage with Q, because if you engage with Q, let's say this is a Gragas, and I do my combo, Gragas insta body slams my ass, or my belly, and then ults me away. And now my entire abilities are on cooldown. My jab is useless. GG, we lost, right? So it's really hard. So what you do is you engage with flash, like this. And that is the only time you do W reset before, and I will explain why. Because if you flash on enemies, then they will first be surprised, like, what the fuck is going on? If you Q, and your Q lasts for 0.75 seconds, then they will realize, Master Yi is on me, and he's in Q. So then they're like realizing, okay, let's wait until his Q is over, and then they body slam you again, right? Now, we imagine this is a good Gragas. Even if it's a good Gragas, look how fast this is. Damage is already out. Already 1.7k. He doesn't even know he's cut. That is the beautiful part. He doesn't even know he is being cut. He already got cut, right? Now, then he will realize, wait a second, what the fuck is going on? And then he will body slam, and then you already queued. And that is basically said, I will write it down for you in a second. That is the most important Master Yi one-shot combo. I name it the perfect Master Yi combo. It is. And that dealt 3.7k. That is a one-shot. That is one shot. So imagine you play against an ADC Aphelios, and he's walking in your range, and you have double strike, rage blade, and lethal tempo stack. You just need one enemy. Like a Sejuani that queues into you. 2 auto attacks. Like 3. For everything fully stacked. Aphelios melee range, flash! Enemies have a Lulu. Same reaction as the Gragas. They're gonna be like, what the fuck just happened? Lulu ult. But then you're already in your queue. Because the combo is, and I will write down. I'm not gonna write it down here. I'm gonna write it down in the editor. I think it's better for you. So you can remember it. Okay, if everything is set, you can imagine how much damage output you have, right? Okay, so it is flash plus auto attack plus W plus auto attack and plus E plus ult plus W plus. So how it works is you flash, then you do the auto attack. Whilst you do the auto attack, you activate E. Look, when I do a slow motion, I do a slow motion to show you. Can I slow it down further? Okay, look at my auto attack. I do an auto attack. I have too much attack speed now, but if I do an auto attack, it's very slow, right? And if you activate E at like right now, and then you start doing the auto attack, dish, right? Your E already ran out a little bit. So if you auto attack, and the moment you cut his head, you activate E, you have E for a longer duration. More value. That is why you use E after the auto attack. So you have flash plus auto attack plus E plus ult. Then you W reset into next auto attack. Then you do plus Q. Then you do Q. Then they ult because they react. Plus auto attack. And if you have Titanic Hydra, then it looks like W plus auto plus E plus R plus W plus A plus Q plus A plus Titanic. So that is gonna be 3 for me. Plus 3, Titanic, plus A. Okay, these are the buttons I click. In just like that. Instant. People are fully surprised, right? That is an insane damage output. I will show you how it looks like with Titanic Hydra. Perfect. Instant. You see how I got it right now. You can jump with the practice tool and join yourself. How much damage did I do now with this build? I have 3.2 thousand HP. I have 100 armor, 70 magic assist. I am kinda tanky. And I just did instant damage output, 5.5 thousand. And of course it's a dummy, no armor, no HP. But Bel'Veth King deals more damage when they have more HP. I have 2 damage. I will shred his ass. This is basically summing it up the best. That is the most important Master Yi combo you have to learn, and you will master Master Yi. Jumping now into the macro with Master Yi, especially in the mid late game. We're gonna start from fresh. Early game plan. That is farm and take opportunities. Perfect. That means high reward, low risk plays. Apart from that, you do not take opportunities because you are under pressure. You need to farm to get gold. Otherwise, you are straight up useless. You need a high CS count. Why? And now comes the point. You are one of the best gold scaling champions in the entire game. Now we get to 1.2. Master Yi equals to perfection. One mistake and you're cooked. This champion is not for the weak. One mistake and you're gonna get boiled alive like Mr. Krabs. But let me tell you, this is art. And this is what keeps me awake at night, looking at League of Legends game and be like, oh, this is straight up perfection. Every single click is correct. His movement, his precision. If you play Master Yi and you don't play with mistakes, it is the most fun to watch in the entire world. Listen, you don't get what I'm saying if you're like not fully into Master Yi. Everyone that plays a lot of Master Yi knows what I'm saying right now. This champion is art. It is art. Every single movement, your small little steps, one Syndra ball, that! One Malphite ult, that! One Lulu ult missed, that! One Poly, that! You insta that! You need to have the perfect position, the perfect movement. Okay, I gotta calm down because I'm driving off topic. Actually not, I'm perfectly in topic, but it's fine. So Master Yi equals to perfection. That means you're not allowed to die. You are not allowed to die. Perfection of Master Yi gameplay, technically speaking, 0 deaths, 0 deaths and 9 CS per minute. If you have that, you're going to win. If you do the mid late game macro perfectly, which I'm gonna get to in a second. Why is I'm in Korea? By the way, watch the art. I'm playing so much at the highest level possible, climbing all the way up to rank 1. You can watch the art. Locked in areas which you haven't seen ever. I was never that locked in. You can utilize and enjoy. And then in the chat, tell me about the art I talk about here. Tell me in the chat that you come from the Master Yi guide and that you see the art or something. I will be amazed and love to hear that if you see the small Easter egg. Like when I'm like, he comes from the video, I know I remember where I am right now, and he comes from here, the future Sinerias is gonna smile. I know it, okay? Make myself happy. Look, you're not allowed to die. That means, let's say you're blue side, you do wrap off, crux, chickens, that's the best clear. You can also do chickens, crux, wrap off, but then the chickens respawn timer 225 is volatile for enemies with the mid laner invading it. Gonna be tricky, right? So you want to, at best, if especially below diamond, you always start wrap off, always. With red side, you start wrap off. Below diamond, you start wrap off. You see that on my Master Yi Unranked to Challenger guide. I have also published, right? So wrap off, crux into chickens, and then you already look out for the first gank, if possible, mid lane. If you have Syndra, if you have Twisted Fate, if you have setup, and mid lane is half HP. You gank when they're low on HP, when you have setup, means you have CC, and you have sums and everything ready. If there's no gank, you continue clearing. Wolves, Grump, Blue, Top Scuttle. Is a top lane gank optional? Is a mid lane gank optional? If not, reset, crux, chickens. You're under pressure. You have no time. You need to be extremely quick, and every camp needs to be on spawn. You keep on farming. Now, when is your weak spot? Your weak spot is level 4 to level 5. That is when Master Yi is weak. At that window, I'll write it down. 1.2.1. At level 4 to 5. You don't want to make a play. Master Yi, weak spot. The strongest spike is on the second item on Rageblade. And then you have another big spike on Hullbreaker, but this is the biggest spike. Okay, it's not entirely true. But here's level 4, level 5. Here's level 6, you get a big spike. Then you fall off again until you have Blade from King. This is what you can imagine, but don't take this too seriously, okay? I think one of my viewers made this. It's not accurate. But you can imagine it to be somewhere like that, the scaling, right? In terms of time. Okay, so perfect. Level 4, level 5, you don't want to make a play. That's Master Yi weak spot. Then at level 6, you want to use R plus flash. Usually at bot lane. Okay, that's what you want to do. Not always doable, but that is your attempt. That is your goal. Because you get resets plus easy double kill because of reset. Usually you are 6 before enemy ADC sub equals 6. Okay? That's simple. Now, next thing. 1.3. You can give first to Drake. If you are red side, you probably have prior for it. If you are blue side, again, blue side is here, red side is here. Means if you're red side, you start wrap buff, you will be perfectly in time for the dragon on spawn. Like around that time, you're gonna have your second clear, Grump, chickens, wolves, Grump, and then you can already play dragon. You have this bush. This bush is extremely valuable. The enemies have this bush if they are blue side. If you're blue side, you can probably give dragon against champions like Vi. And then play for grubs. If you play grubs, you need a very early communication. The wave here spawns at 7:46, walking to mid lane, arriving at around 8:01. And then you push mid lane, wave with your mid laner. This is a little bit advanced, but I think a lot of you guys get it. You push it with your mid laner, and then you rotate for grubbies. With the support, you communicate at 7:25 to come for the grubs, top lane as well. And then you have a 4v4 at the grubs. Usually you're level 6 and you beat enemy jungler. GG, we won the game. Because enemies make the mistake, you punish them, you get objective, you're punishing them, you're scaling, you're winning, you're conquering. Look at my ping, by the way. I'm waiting so hard for Korea. Having no ping. What is this? How can you climb to rank 1 US with this? Perfection. But now, in Korea, I have the tools. You better be ready. Perfect. Okay, if you're red side, if You can give Drake first. If you're red side, you probably have prior for Drake. If you're blue side, you probably have prior for Grubs. Okay, if you're red side, blue side, you don't want to fight because if you do the dragon, enemies can come from this bush. Very dangerous, very dangerous. Also the other way around. If enemies do Grubs and you come from this bush, very easy kills. They don't have a disengage tool, like just like that. Okay, that's about the early game. Then you have on first spike, let me see what I did here. Early game, we have 1.3. On Blade of the Ruined King, we get more to mid game. Fundamentals from the complete climbing course. Also coaching course, the Sinerias training academy. Everything is in the description if you want to get better and improve. From the course, we have one of the fundamentals, one of the many fundamentals to conquer and have a very easy time in playing the game, is on Borg, play on your power spike. That means you on Borg, okay? Remember the spike. Borg is a very good, very insane spike because must-see scales through items and Borg is insanely good. Of course, or Kraken, right? Exactly the same. You want to play on that. And then you always play with your ult up. Plus flash at best, right? Plus, I would just say here, plus flash, because it's not necessary. And you don't have flash all the time. But with your ult, you make a play. Now your ult is on cooldown. You go back to farming, you chill. Ult is up, you make a play. Keep in mind, you never die. You never die. You're not allowed to die. And you have 9 CS per minute. If you're below 9 CS per minute, you're doing a mistake. The least CS per minute I tolerate is 7 CS per minute. If you're bronze and you want to improve, if you're gold and you want to climb, 7 CS per minute, go to your OPGG. If you don't have 7 CS per minute, that is the reason you're hard stuck. If you have 7 CS per minute, you're not gold. If you're gold to 7 CS per minute, then you're doing everything wrong, right? Besides the farming aspect. Because if you have 7 CS per minute, you for sure didn't die all the time. If you have 7 CS per minute, you for sure have a good clear. You for sure know some sort of macro because you're somewhat efficient. You cannot be gold with that. If you're still gold, then there's like easy problems to fix on for a big climb. And if you're 6.4 CS per minute, then focus on having higher CS and lower deaths. Boom, you climbed. It is that simple. Below down in lower MMR, but yeah, I will guide you through that within time and everything. I will guide you for everything, okay? Perfect. Now we get to the mid game. I'll just type here 2 mid game. On Rage Blade, we start to play very aggressive. Very big mass spike for Master Yi. Equals to, we play with support, we play with mid, we fight for objective, whatever it is. Okay? This is all early in mid game. Now we get to the late game. In the late game, you have 4 options. I think it's 5. 5 options to play. That is the entire mid-late game macro. Number 1 is you farm. Number 2 is you cheese. Number 3 is you split push. Number 4 is you team fight. And number 5, you do nothing. Perfect. Most of you guys do nothing in a mid-late game. A lot of my coaching clients. That means running in circles. You never ever run in circles. Ever. You're not wasting time. You don't have time for that. That is one of the reasons you're hard stuck. Okay, this is what you remove out of your options. Next is, when do you team fight? It's very simple, when you're even and stronger in team fight or when you are ahead. That is why when you are 5 to 10k gold ahead, you just need to group and team fight. Fight the objective, fight enemy jungle, fight control, fight vision, fight everything. Fight. You always win because you're ahead. You have more items, you have more raw strength. So when you're even or ahead, you want to team fight. You want to, at best. Unless the enemies have like perfect team fight, team combat, you don't, right? So when do you split push? You split push when you are slightly behind or decently behind. If you cannot team fight, you have to split push. With must-see, that is very easy to do. You can buy hull breaker and stuff. You can be a monster. Okay, but when do you cheese? With other champions, not all the time. With Sejuani, it's really hard to cheese. With Sejuani, you mainly go for team fight regardless of fight catches, right? Fight catches with your team. With Master Yi, you don't need your team to find catches. With Master Yi, you are an absolute monster. Remember how much damage I dealt to these dummies? Imagine a dummy face checking me, and I start with this. I already have 2 Rage Spell stacks, 2 Double Strike stacks, Lethal Tempo, 2 stacks, W auto attack reset, Titanic Hydra reset, Q auto attack. This is already, like, if someone face checks, you already have almost a guaranteed kill. That's why you learn how to play with bushes. For this, I cannot guide you. You need to learn to play in Fog of War with bushes, avoid vision. Watch my streams how I do this, because the cheeses, this is the game. This is love. This is art. This is skill. This is beautiful. This is really hard to master. It took me thousands of games, right? How to cheese properly. You can watch my streams. I will guide. You will see, like, this is the best showcase option, okay? And you kind of play like an assassin. With Master Yi, you want to cheese a lot, okay? So, with Master Yi, you go for teamfight. If teamfight doesn't... Oh, I thought... Holy shit, I got scared so hard. I thought somebody placed a ward here. I thought somebody placed a ward here, even though it was the sign that Atakan is now up, right? And I thought somebody placed a ward. And then I was like, there's no way somebody places a ward. I'm in the practice tool. And my brain was like, where is he? Where is this monster? What the fuck is going on in my brain? Okay. Now, you split push. You split push, but you at the same time try to find cheeses if you cannot team fight. With cheeses, that means enemies push mid lane and support goes for ward. Boom, you take the support, kill him, and dip again. Go back to farming or split pushing. Perfect. When do you farm, Sinerias? You farm when you cannot cheese, you cannot split push, you cannot team fight, you cannot do nothing. So when you basically can't do anything, and when your team is resetting. When your Xayah that is 10 kills is resetting, you want to have a sync reset timer. If your Xayah walks up to the wave, you cannot farm your Crux. That means, let's say your Crux and Chickens is up, right? And Xayah walks mid lane. Look on the minimap. Xayah walks mid lane, and your Crux and Chickens is up. A lot of you guys go Crux, Chickens, and then Xayah is already dead, and then they say, yeah, but my teammates run it. Why is she dying already? It's your fault. You need to not farm, because your ADC is not safe. You can only farm if they're safe. That means you take chickens. And then you stay with Xayah. You stay with Xayah, you protect her. Xayah wants to reset, she's walking away or goes for your wolves. Now she's safe because she's out. That is when you take your Crux. She resets, you reset. She walks mid lane, you again walk mid lane. You stay with your ADC. That's the mid lane game macro for jungler in general. Perfect. Okay, I'm already talking about it for so long. But I think this was necessary. I needed to get it out, and especially you needed to hear it. There's one more thing I have to say. That's absolutely conquer. I believe in you. Let's do it together. Let's rise.